Imagine this. You are sitting in a forest 50,000 years ago. You're hungry. Not I missed lunch hungry, but my body is eating itself to keep my heart beating hungry. You find a massive pile of raw roots, some tough tubers, and a slab of raw, cold meat from a scavenged kill. To get enough energy just to survive until tomorrow, you have to start chewing, and you won't stop for a long, long time. If you were a chimpanzee, our closest relative, you would spend 9 hours every single day just moving your jaws up and down. 9 hours of chewing tough, fibrous, raw material just to keep your lights on. You wouldn't have time to build a hut, you wouldn't have time to invent a spear, and you definitely wouldn't have time to wonder why the stars are up there. But you aren't a chimpanzee, you are a human, and you have a cheat code, you have fire. Today, we think of cooking as a hobby or a chore. We order Uber Eats at midnight and don't think twice. But in reality, cooking is the single most important biohack in the history of our species. It is the reason you have a giant, power-hungry brain instead of a giant, gas-filled stomach. It is the reason why, during the most brutal winters in Earth's history, we didn't just survive, we became the super predator that the entire animal kingdom is terrified of today. To understand why cooking changed everything, we have to look at the world our ancestors lived in. Scientists call it the landscape of fear. In this world, every living thing is playing a 24/7 game of don't get eaten. Prey animals don't just react when they see a lion. They build their entire lives, their sleep schedules, and their movements around the risk of dying. For most of history, humans were just another animal in that landscape. We weren't the fastest, we weren't the strongest, and we certainly didn't have the best teeth. But then, something shifted. We started using fire. Somewhere between 400,000 and 1,000,000 years ago, fire went from a scary natural disaster to a tool we kept in our pockets. Fire did 15 jobs at once. It was a bodyguard that kept 300-kilogram cave lions at bay while we slept. It was a light source that turned a 16-hour winter night into a time for storytelling and knowledge sharing. But its most important job happened in the cooking pit. Here is the wild part that most people miss. Your brain is an energy hog. It makes up only about 2% of your body weight, but it gulps down 20% of your total energy. It's like a high-end gaming PC that needs a massive power supply just to run. In the wild, energy is hard to get. Raw food is incredibly difficult to digest. Your body has to work overtime, using massive amounts of acid and muscle power to break down raw fibers and proteins. This is why gorillas have those huge, pot-bellied stomachs. They need a massive fermentation tank to process all that raw foliage. But when we started cooking, we outsourced our digestion. Fire breaks down the tough fibers and denatures the proteins before the food even touches your lips. This meant we could get way more usable energy with way less work. As a result, evolution made a deal. We traded our giant, energy-expensive guts for giant, energy-expensive brains. We literally shrank our digestive systems to fuel our intelligence. We became the only animal on the planet that cannot survive without pre-processed food. We are biologically addicted to the kitchen. This energy hack was put to the ultimate test 20,000 years ago during the last glacial maximum. Imagine a world where global temperatures are 6 degrees colder than today. That sounds small, but it's the difference between a normal summer and London being buried under a kilometer of solid ice. In this frozen world, your metabolism goes into overdrive. Just staying warm burns 50% more calories than usual. If you don't eat enough, you don't just get tired, your thinking slows down, your coordination falls apart, and you die of hypothermia in hours. In this environment, fat was everything. Fat has more than double the calories of protein or carbs. This is why the woolly mammoth was the ultimate prize. One mammoth could provide 500,000 calories, enough to feed a group of 25 people for weeks. But you can't just eat a 6-ton frozen mammoth with your bare teeth. You need fire to thaw the meat, fire to render the fat, and fire to turn that mountain of muscle into something your shrunken human gut can actually process. Fire wasn't just nice to have in the Ice Age. It was the only thing keeping us from going extinct like our cousins, the Neanderthals. Because we had the extra brain power from our cooked diets, we didn't just huddle in caves. We became architects. In places like Ukraine and Siberia, where there was no wood to build with, we built mammoth-bone houses. Picture this, a structure built from the jawbones, shoulder blades, and tusks of over 150 mammoths. These weren't random piles of bones. They were organized, windproof, waterproof homes with separate zones for toolmaking, sleeping, and, of course, a central fire pit. This was interior design for survival. Inside these bone huts, we developed the most advanced technology of the time, the needle. Archaeologists have found bone needles from 30,000 years ago with holes barely a millimeter wide. We use these to create a layered clothing system, inner layers for moisture, middle layers for warmth, and tough hides for wind resistance. It is the exact same system modern hikers use today. We didn't have fur, so we stole it from the animals we hunted and engineered it to be better than what nature gave us. As we got smarter and better at surviving, the landscape of fear began to shift. We were no longer the prey. We became the thing that nightmares are made of. Researchers at the University of Western Ontario found that humans are now a super predator. They played recordings of human voices, just normal, casual conversation, to wild animals. The results were terrifying. Mountain lions fled from the sound of human voices twice as fast as they fled from barking dogs or growling bears. Even apex predators like bobcats and skunks bolted the moment they heard us. Why? Because for thousands of generations, the animals that didn't run from the upright ape with the fire got eaten. We aren't the fastest hunters, but we are unpredictable. Most predators follow a pattern. They hunt at dawn or they wait by the water. But humans? We hunt at night. We hunt in groups. We use traps, bows, and fire. We break the algorithm of the animal brain. We also have persistence hunting. We can't outrun a gazelle in a sprint, but because we can sweat and we have the energy from our cooked meals, we can just keep jogging for hours in the heat until the animal literally collapses from heat stroke. To an animal, we are like the monster in a horror movie that never stops walking toward you. Cooking didn't just change our bodies, it changed our minds. Fire gave us a second day. Before fire, when the sun went down, you went to sleep or you died in the dark. But with fire, we had an extra 4 to 5 hours of light every night. This was the birth of culture. Around the fire, we didn't just eat. We told stories. We passed down survival lessons. Which valley has deer in a drought, how to butcher a mammoth to get every drop of fat, and which plants can heal a wound. We also built community. In the Ice Age, you couldn't survive alone. You needed a network of 20 to 50 people. You needed the elder who remembered the great winter of 15 years ago. You needed the firekeeper whose only job was to make sure that flame never went out. Because if it did during a blizzard, the whole group was dead. We even made music. 40 zero-zone-year-old bone flutes have been found in caves. A group that stays connected through music and ritual is a group that survives the stress of a 10,000-year winter. Today, there is a trend called raw foodism, or raw veganism. People claim it's natural to eat only raw plants and fruits. But science tells a different story. While eating some raw veggies is great for vitamins, a 100% raw diet is a biological trap for a human. Our teeth are too small. Our jaws are too weak. Our stomachs are too tiny. If you tried to live like a natural primate today, you would have to spend your entire day chewing, and you would still likely struggle to maintain your body weight. We have evolved so far away from our ancestors that cooking is now a biological requirement. We are the only species that has captured a force of nature, fire, and made it part of our anatomy. We took the landscape of fear and turned it into a world where we can order hot soup to our door in the middle of the night. So, next time you're standing in your kitchen waiting for your toast to pop or your steak to sizzle, take a second to look at the flames or the heating element. That heat is the reason you have the brain to understand these words. It is the reason our ancestors could stand in a mammoth-bone house in the middle of a minus 30-degree blizzard and feel cozy. It is the reason that even now, a mountain lion miles away will run for its life if it hears the sound of your voice. We didn't survive the Ice Age because we were the toughest. We survived because we were the smartest. We outsmarted the cold, we outsmarted the predators, and we outsmarted our own biology, all by learning how to cook. We traded our fur for fire and our guts for glory. And honestly, looking at where we are now, sitting in our warm houses with our grocery stores and central heating, it was a pretty good trade. Thanks for watching Mindsec. Don't forget to stay curious.